Hello, welcome to Once the Force of Stars podcast. My name's Phil, of course, and welcome back to our Clone Wars breakdown. I'm joined, as usual, by Dave and George. Hello there. What episode?
I've seen it twice now, and I haven't seen any of season 7 twice.
I'm on to about viewing 6, so I've seen this a lot, and I've not seen any Clone Wars episode that many times. This was blew my little hippie noodle.
I've only just watched it due to 24-hour streamless, and I had to wait whilst I saw in the chat these guys going absolutely nuts over the episode. I was like, it can't be that good, and oh my god, it was that good and more. This is the greatest thing I've seen in I don't know how long.
I mean, just as a whole, without getting into sequel trilogy, original trilogy, prequel trilogy nonsense, if this is going to be a 4-episode arc and it's basically going to be a film, we might actually have the best Star Wars film that's actually animated. But obviously, we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks' time because I'm not going to make any bold predictions, but some of the finest 30 minutes ever in Star Wars, I think, is a very, very fair point to argue at this moment in time. Given what we've all kind of said, we've all had mixed, I guess, overall mixed opinions on the final season, as I think many people have. There's no shame in admitting that. I know some people are on the offensive. We're not on the offensive. We like it, but we also haven't liked some bits of it. Some people jump to Wikipedia, Dave Filoni's not the chosen one anymore, all that nonsense, and all that's going to be forgotten about today. Because everything, I mean, it's really hard to go into it because we can talk spoilers. We are going to talk spoilers. But the thing that got me most isn't actually the animation. It's the very, very beginning. I sat there at Friday morning at work, waiting to watch, and then I saw a green text. Green text I've not seen in a long time. And I just thought, oh my words, they're really going for it.
Not only that hit me in the heart, but it's what happened next as well. Sorry, Dave.
I was going to say, I mean, I've not seen that Lucasfilm Limited logo. If you're watching along on the stream now, you can see it on the screen. A Lucasfilm Limited production in that green basic writing is something I've not seen for a long, long time. And for them to kind of put it out there, it's been sort of put there sort of a tribute to sort of, this is George Lucas' sort of last story beat. It's his last bit of Star Wars. And I just think it just, from the moment it came on, I was like, oh, they're doing something special. And then for them to throw up not the standard Clone Wars theme, but fire straight to John Williams fanfare, moving that red Clone Wars logo in respect. I was similar to George, like, you expect to crawl after that almost.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've only just seen it and I'm tearing up again because as soon as that hit, as soon as I watched it, like, okay, this is something different. This isn't what you've come to expect in a very good way. This is the nicest surprise of all, I think.
It felt like it'd come full circle. Like I think certainly I did the first ever time I watched Clone Wars. I was like, this isn't the Star Wars theme. Get off. You know, that I feel that many other people that very, very initial first viewing, and then over time it's like, no, the Clone Wars theme is the Clone Wars theme. It's great. It doesn't need, just like Rebels had its own theme. Does Resistance have one? I've wiped out my memory already.
Yeah.
So Resistance must have one too. But this kind of felt like, not only is this the kind of blessing that this is worthy of the main theme, it also felt like this is it. This is going to be a film. This is going to be a 4-episode arc that is a film, and it's going to, I think, that set me. I did expect to crawl, just because that. I mean, that theme didn't even drop on Rogue One or Solo. That's how protective.
No, that's
this is big. That's very protective of a piece of music. And we didn't get a crawl, which I'm fine with. I'm very happy we didn't get the
well, no, we didn't get a traditional crawl, but we got the Clone Wars introduction voiceover. So it was a nice amalgamation of the two, and I like that. I don't think it needed an official proper crawl, but to have the two together, that was
it was more the jarring. They edited it really well together as well. I was going to say, 'cause on the second viewing, I was like, oh, are they going to go with the normal Clone Wars intro? And they get the music cut right, they get it all done bang on. Because if you get it a couple of seconds wrong either side, I don't think it would have worked, but they got the balance right. We've got a really good comment from John Parton. So I've never found myself getting so emotional over a cartoon before.
He's not wrong.
I've had like angry emotion. I don't think I've ever had like outright. Well, except for Star Wars cutscene, obviously Toy Story 3 aside, and how those films always happen. But I did not expect any. I mean, I wasn't emotional for this, but I was blew away from even getting into the next part when we get the Clone Wars news. It was like, here's all the Jedi that we saw get slaughtered in Order 66 going to their planets for their farewell. And that was it. That wasn't like, oh my words. There's Felucia. There is Plo Koon. There is a young Caleb Doom. And the best thing of all of it, General Grievous. Even if it was 1 second, my biggest criticism of Clone Wars, I think we've kind of said this before, is I despise the way General Grievous was, and he's not intimidating. He's this boring villain of the day. He's not that he coughs, but I just never felt that they built up to the General Grievous that was in Revenge of the Sith, this big deal for the Clone Wars. Like, we know he's a coward, but to me, they never, ever, ever did anything with it, especially compared to the old 2D Clone Wars, where that was one of the most insane sort of lightsaber things ever when he murdered Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. That 3 seconds just made me forget about the first 6 seasons of General Grievous. That is all I needed. That is when you know, oh my god, stuff is about to go down. We know what's going to happen, but that was a beautiful shot.
Indeed. I mean, do we want to crack into the episode, or do we want to talk about our other animation point first before we delve into the complete story?
Well, it's just, I mean, it is just sort of a quick point, really. I mean, we're going to bring it up on screen now. This is just, we look at the show now and how it looks, especially this episode felt the most cinematic looking episode I've ever seen in Clone Wars. Like, the scale was jumped up from what we've even, like, the Bad Batch and the Ahsoka on our Walkabout episodes looked nothing like this episode did. Unbelievable. And it's just, we've got a couple of examples, really, of how far this show has come in terms of the look. Now, on the screen now, we've got a picture of Anakin and Ahsoka sitting down after their first battle together, and the background look as they went for, and they said it was like they wanted sort of a painting feel to it in the background. The one at the bottom that we've got there of Ahsoka and Anakin on their way to meet the clones in the 501st is just, it's nothing like that. We've got this animation style has come so far from where we were.
I mean, this again with Ahsoka and Rex. This is what, 11 years apart now? Between the very first
2000,
something like this, 11, 12 years apart.
2000 something there, yeah.
2008?
Yeah.
Probably being written in 2006, 7 time. Like, you got to think how far back.
Yeah.
So between air dates, that's 12 years apart. And I mean, yes, animation and technology always comes along. It does. Technology is always advancing. Things always going to look better and better as they go along. But this is just, it's on another level. And well, you know, I was talking about the scale. I mean, just the opening news where they talk about the Jedi being spread across the board. And yes, you see Felucia and you see of course Plo Koon and everything else. It does look, it's big and it's awesome and it looks just, it's incredible. I'm lost for words, and partly it's because I've been talking for so many hours straight, but that's not the point.
I think it's kind of got the point now. If you watch that opening segment and you just kind of weren't paying like full attention to it, as you were thinking that Revenge of the Sith was on, you wouldn't be a million miles away from what you saw, that it's gotten that good. And then, I mean, we got into that first opening battle as well.
Yeah.
And that's when I say that it's so cinematic. This thing was absolutely incredible. From the first shot to the clones fighting to the opening shot of Obi-Wan as well, covered in smoke and dirt, and I'm almost speechless by it. It was
Why
so
couldn't
good.
we have these
so
clones
well
instead of the clones we had in episode 2? Why can't we have these? I want these clones. So good.
That's the thing. It felt cinematic from the first moments. I just started watching. It's like crawl aside, title credits aside. Something just changed from last week to this, and I kind of mentioned to Dave, we were chatting before Phil had seen it, so obviously we weren't going to spoil it for you, Phil. I know that the last 3 episodes weren't sort of previs. The last 3 episodes, is it the last 3 of the Ahsoka arc hadn't been done before?
Correct. It was only the first part of the first episode.
Well, I reckon they were, but I reckon they were never publicly released because the animation style has changed in the space of a week. That's, to me, not something that can get done at a click of a finger. I reckon, I mean, this is a big, obviously, that I feel as if they maybe were ready a couple of years ago that were previs, but they've just never released to people. Because this episode right now, it felt like the money that Rebels had. It felt like Clone Wars Advanced. It just felt like on another level from a week ago. And I know that this will have a higher budget. I know that it was a longer for a start. It was 30 minutes long, not 20 minutes. But just the first few seconds, you just knew that there was just something different. And I think that does come down to animation. And I feel that this is something that I bet when they brought back Clone Wars, I reckon it was probably Dave Filoni saying, I just want to do the Siege of Mandalore, but we can probably stretch it to a full season. That's personally how I feel about it now. I reckon the goal from the beginning was the Siege of Mandalore, nothing else, and the other stuff came after.
Well, if you cast your minds back, gentlemen, to when we had the panel at SDCC, I said to you at the time, either going to announce a movie or a full season. You both scoffed at the time. No, I don't think so. Maybe something good. Maybe we'll get something, but no, I think it's... Yeah, you guys had your theories. I personally now believe that you are half right on this one. I think it's definitely... I think they went, all right, we want to do a movie, and I think Filoni went, I will do 4 episodes and do the Siege of Mandalore, but I want to finish the season off. Give me Bad Batch plus this unfinished arc to tie everything together, because I don't think it'll do it justice otherwise. I think if you could, I agree with you. The animation in the space of a week has stepped up, not dramatically, but it's enough to make you just stop and pay attention to go, this does look that little bit better. And I think they have gone, right, this is all brand spanking new. And I do agree with you. Maybe this was done in terms of the Ahsoka arc, maybe this was done before, and there's been more finished than we were less on. I mean, of course, companies always keep stuff private. We're not going to be privy to everything. But I do agree with you, and I think Filoni went, I want to do the Siege of Mandalore, but let me wrap up everything else first. And this has given him a nice little plot point to be able to go, okay, here's everything done, now here is the Siege of Mandalore. The other thing before we get into the meat of the episode as well is that part 1. I have a sneaking suspicion when we get episode 4 that there will be an option to view this as one movie.
I've had this in the last sort of hour or two. I just started thinking I despise fan edits. I mean, don't get me wrong. The originals, yes, people love the originals. I put up with what we have now because that's what we've been given. I have respect to someone that goes and recreates the originals in HD. That was it, the despecialized. I don't mind that. I've got respect for you for making that, but it's never been my cup of tea. If this is 2 hours. I just started thinking that, wow, like I can imagine a celebration where they turn around and say, we're just going to stream the Siege of Mandalore, and it's going to be a 2-hour film. There'll be a couple of cuts here and there, probably endings and beginnings of other episodes or something. Obviously, we don't know yet, we're 3 weeks away, but I feel there's a film in there. Got that vibe, the way it ended.
But I think Disney Plus will give you an option to watch it as one.
I wouldn't get that.
It was the fact it ended on silence as well. Like literally, there was no music at all. So you could literally, I'm guessing the next episode will open on that frame or whatever the next beat of the story is, where you'll literally be able to just watch them back to back and take out the credits until the end. I don't think they'll give you like a movie option. I think you will just get the episodes. But I think definitely at some point someone will put that out where they've just cut the credits out and it rolls as one thing. Because
maybe not on Disney Plus immediately, but I do think we'll get a Blu-ray release of this that may include that as an option. But either way, I think there's going to be something that you could watch instead of like the usual arcs that are a story over 4 episodes. I think this will lend itself more to being watched in 4. However, we've been waffling for 14 minutes already. Partly because I've also been trying to collect my thoughts as I have just seen this episode. My brain was a little scrambled anyway. First off, I just want to talk about this particular scene here. Now, this is the scene we all had seen before. This is when the Clone Wars saved announcement came. This is what we had in the trailer. I think, Dave, you've got the correct bit with Rex in there as well, haven't you? In the next part? Yes, you do. So yes,
but that's the... Yeah, so this was from the original release trailer. So you get the trailer saying Clone Wars saved, and you got a tiny bit of the episode where Anakin walks in, says, "Hey Rex, why you pulled us back? We're here." And Rex had the hologram of Ahsoka up. That's been changed for the episode. Obviously, if you have watched the episode, that is now it's your Lauren on there, and your Lauren's the one who calls them back. So they have had slight changes to what was put in that trailer as well, which is great. Even the expression on Anakin's face is different when he sees Ahsoka, so it's really nice that's been put up on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first change we've had as well. If you go back to the Bad Batch arc, we had the entire scene with Obi-Wan put straight in as well. And with Padme, so there's other bits and pieces they've done. I do think subtle changes here and there to make sure they keep surprises going until the end. But that was kind of cool. We knew throughout the trailers, of course, that we're going to have this particular moment right here. And I'm not going to lie, a manly tear was almost shed at this. It's one of those moments that just hit impact. After all these years of watching, does impact you.
I mean, because we saw it in the trailer, I didn't really have that effect with it. I kind of knew it was coming. The thing I liked more was the lightsaber giveaway by Anakin. But I think more importantly, I think before this scene, we have some of the better scenes, which was the politics. I know that's people's quick to criticize point of the prequels, but when you've got Ahsoka blanking Anakin, now Anakin felt like the Padawan, Ahsoka felt like the master. Any conversation between the two of them, she was kind of leading it, and it just felt so mature. And you got to think, I mean, it was in theory, it was 3 years ago, right? He took her on as an apprentice. You got to think, not only has she aged 10 years in 3 years, but the maturity, and again, that builds up to episode 3 that Anakin has these attachments. They're very smart in how they do it. When you've got Obi-Wan talking about when he has that kind of back and forth with Bo-Katan, and you've got the comment about Duchess Satine, it's the quick cut to Anakin. It's Anakin's reaction to what Obi-Wan says. And that was me like, Revenge of the Sith starts soon. And again, it's that this is the point of Clone Wars. It's to build upon what we know in these films, and this is how it's doing to Anakin. You've got the comparisons between the two that just makes it even worse when everything does come to light.
Yeah,
it was that line that he said, he wouldn't let his feelings cloud his judgment, was like Obi-Wan's line, that he wouldn't have that, even though he still had feelings for Satine. He was like, but you can see in that moment that Anakin's completely opposite, whereas all of his emotions are clouding his judgment from now, and probably before that because of Padme, and he knows that he can't let it go that he wants to. You're right, the moment where Ahsoka blanked him and said, no, it's about the mission now, it was just absolutely crazy. I loved the line as well when she said she got the information from from where were they? The city, I can't remember its name.
Oh, we're on Obadiah with the Pikes, yeah.
On Obadiah, she asked what she was doing on Obadiah, and she just said, like, it's not important. And kind of, you're absolutely right, it's not. Carrying on with this episode, it was just like one of those lines, I thought, you're right, it's not important, let's get on with where we are. So, there was just some lovely moments in that, and it was then that obviously we got the walk around with Ahsoka where she was getting taken to the fire first, and it was the salute of Commander, that where she was uncomfortable, the way they were still so respectful of her, and that was a really nice moment as well, that the clones never forgot, like, this person who was part of the Order. That was a really, really nice moment for that.
That again, like you mentioned the Order, that's actually a nice little jumping off point as well, when in that scene when they are talking about how things are, and she goes, we have to save Mandalore, and then the politics do come into play because of probably the biggest moment, one of the biggest moments for me, when you have Kenobi come back and say, we're jumping into hyperspace because Grievous has attacked Coruscant. And this is something I thought we'd get towards the end of this 4-part arc, not here's the first 10 minutes of the first episode of this 4-part arc. I mean, that for me was, okay, that is a big moment, and they've put it right up here. Where does this lead? I don't want to speculate too much as to how far in we're going to go just yet, because I don't want to rush things. I don't want to jump the gun, but it does lead us down a rabbit hole of Order 66 and things like that.
I expected a little bit. I thought it'd be a sort of cliffhanger ending of episode 1. Like, oh my god, this has just happened on Coruscant. We've got to go. See in a bit. I didn't expect it sort of halfway through, but then I kind of liked it because they had their farewells. We know via the Ahsoka book that the last time she sees Anakin is just before he goes off to Coruscant. So we kind of knew that was his, at this point, farewell between him and her. Whether we get something else between him, if they want to dip into Revenge of the Sith, I don't think they will. But I feel we might get a resurgence of Obi-Wan for the hologram that he sends to all the Jedi. I could see that done as one of the final moments. But I really like this because it would have been too easy for it to be a cliffhanger. What we got was when they started the attack, I was like, oh, they can't be long left because they've just said they're leaving. And there it is, we're halfway through this episode. And then it was like part 2. Let's get the action going. You get them arriving on Mandalore, and then it all kicks off. And again, that's not what I expected from a 4 episodes. Well, from one episode of the 4, I thought, okay, they'll stagger it a little bit in each episode as Clone Wars tends to do, but it felt like 2 episodes in one. You know how in every arc the episodes different.
Feel awkward because of how sometimes episodes when they do that can feel a little bit broken. Like they could have gone, well, why didn't you just have one episode and another? This was a nice seamless one as well. It was a case of okay, it was a story beat instead of it being a half and half. It to me generally felt like here is a story beat. We're now moving on from the collective to the individual, going from Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka to Ahsoka. It's gone from here is the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith era that you know. And we're going to break it off to finish off the tale of the Clone Wars, whilst we know episode 3 is now begun. It's a very simple moment, but one that I think that is, by the time we finish all this, going to be very important.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say, I'm with you on the fact that I just think I wasn't expecting. I thought Anakin and Obi-Wan would get called away from Mandalore. I thought they would make it to Mandalore with Ahsoka and then be called away. For them to do it when they did and pull that rabbit out of the hat at that point, it's a great moment. I love it that she's so annoyed with him, and you can see how finished she is with the Jedi Order by this last moment where I think the line was like, "You're going off to, you're not doing this, you're not saving the people, you're going off to save the Chancellor." And Obi-Wan goes, "That's not fair," and she just fires back, "I'm not trying to be." And I was like, "Oh wow, such a strong
line of
moment.
I am no Jedi" from Rebels when she goes to face Vader. It's definitely at this point in that I'm not that pure straight down the middle part anymore. And it's again that feeling when it comes to Satine as well. They play on that a lot. It's hard.
What I loved in that scene was you had the Palpatine stuff, which was I didn't expect that. That was a nice sort of dig. But even better than that, we had the Shakti reference.
Yes.
Now, does this make the episode 3 deleted scene canon? Because there was always
which one?
Well, yeah.
Well, not Anakin killing her, isn't it? Isn't this two? Anakin kills her in one,
and then
Grievous kills her in the other.
Yeah, I reckon that could be true. But I love that. I was like, it's a little reference to the deleted scenes. There'll be a couple of people that know that, and I thought that was pretty neat to go with it. It's strange because I always thought I would have loved to have seen Grievous taking Palpatine. That's how the old Clone Wars ended. That's what I thought they would do. It would be the obvious thing to do. But the fact they haven't, and I think it doesn't. I'd rather they actually didn't. Now it's been done because we've got this story of Mandalore, and Grievous taking Palpatine is not the forefront of the episode. It's a side way for them to kind of detach it from Revenge. If they did, here's Grievous taking Palpatine.
Yeah.
Then I feel that...
Is it just me, though, or does now the Battle of Coruscant at the beginning of episode 3 now feel like the opening to a Clone Wars episode?
It certainly looks like one.
It's now, to me, now has that kind of feeling, because we're about to jump into the next part, the actual second half of the episode with Ahsoka and the assault on Mandalore itself. Because those cinematics there of them going through the flak and everything else, I mean, I think we have some lovely images inside here. I think they will find those for me. Those images then go, yeah. The assault on Mandalore itself. I mean, the one thing I don't want to gloss over it, but the nice part of Captain Rex becoming Commander X, and having that was a lovely moment that we knew it was coming at some point, but I didn't think they'd actually talk about it, if that makes sense. We knew it happened, we just didn't think we'd see it. But yeah, the Assault on Mandalore itself, the opening salvo of that was just... I mean, I'm trying not to swear here. I've also just done a 24-hour live stream where we couldn't swear, and I failed on that in several attempts for different reasons. This is a family-friendly show, but my words do fail me of... my jaw hit the floor.
It was rather good. It really was. The moment that she was like Sabine, I'm getting all mixed up. Bo-Katan tells her, "What you waiting here for? Let's get out there." And it's that moment of Rex looking at her and says, "Right, race you." And just that jump down to the ground where she's in full on Ahsoka badass Jedi mode was just a joy to watch.
Yeah, a little bit. George?
I liked it. It was a nice little action. It was the right kind of action to get us ready for what's coming, because, you know, it's a siege. There's going to be more than one action. You don't want to start with the best ones. You need to have this consistency. So a nice air battle, nothing too extravagantic or nothing too over the top. I thought it was the perfect piece of action to get us onto Mandalore, to continue. We had some real nice shots, nice animation. And it's just great. It was just fun.
I'm going to bring this image back up just for one thing. I want to talk about that I noticed. I don't know if you two did. Maybe it's just me being me. But did the lightsabers just sound that little bit better in this episode?
They sounded... I thought this, when hers ignited, it sounded like when Rey ignites it in episode 7. And they used the original sound effect. I felt it was like that. I feel that they've been edging towards the old sound effects for some films recently, and it just felt that tiny bit different in a good way. It just felt crisper and more sort of, not more important, but it felt like they'd kind of turned it like, you all need to hear this more so than here's it just casually igniting out of nowhere.
Thought it was nice as well when we get to Mandalore again. We get some faces from the past. We get Prime Minister Almec back again. He's now under control of Maul fully, as we find out a little bit later. And as soon as obviously the assault happens, we get the meeting that he's holding in the chamber office that we've been in many a time in old Clone Wars episodes. And we get two characters one from Star Wars Rebels and also someone from Son of Dathomir from a comic. So Phil, I don't know if you want to talk about that for a second. Just a second.
My brain is completely scrambled. Just go literally jumping quite back to what I said. I'm glad it wasn't just me that noticed the sound there. But yes, we do have Gar Saxon here. Now, Gar Saxon, of course, if you have watched Rebels, you'll know that once the Clone Wars is over and the Empire is installed, the Emperor gives him command of Mandalore. He's Mandalore's protector. And yeah, he's also in the Son of Dathomir comic, if my memory just served me correctly. I haven't had a chance to reread it yet, and it's going to be coming out for Star Wars this coming week, but with everything that's been going on, I'm going to be pressed for time, but that's not the point. And I'm not going to try and remember stuff here that I'm going to quote falsely, but the armor, though, the way it's painted, though, there's very much Son of Dathomir, that black and red. That he talks about the Syndicate as well, which is also referenced in Son of Dathomir as well. These story beats are just awesome, and it helps. So Son of Dathomir is canon. The comic book is canon. Go and read it. It's adds another part to these episodes.
I read it yesterday. It's basically like an arc before, after season 6, when Emperor takes Maul. Before this, it would have been incredible if they've animated it. Obviously, the problem with that is that it would have just took away the reveal of Maul and the build-up and all of that stuff. But it's currently free for anyone with Amazon Prime. Just open the Amazon Kindle app and then just press Dathomir. Apparently, Kindles are on desktops now. I didn't know that till yesterday, so I read that. It's worth reading for these episodes. It gives you a bit of background on Mandalore, because it would be a bit confusing about how was Maul there when he was took away last time. So if anyone's got any questions, have a quick read of that.
This is a very good point, and thank you, George S., for bringing it up. I forgot you had something in the chat as well about being free. I do own the comic. It is part of my massive collection. It is definitely worth the reading. We'll give you that bit of that background as well. So I'm trying not to falsely quote something here, because I'm trying to everything best they can. But that armor, though, that black with the red, that symbolism of Maul, that similar to his body tattoos and face tattoos and things, is just incredible. But it's just stunning. We then, of course, have the siege itself, and yes, we're going to go back to this particular shot here. I do quite like the fact that. Sorry, excuse me, my voice is very hoarse and dry. We have Commander Vaughn. Now, Commander Vaughn is basically pretty much new for this. I think he may have been in an episode before as a different designation, but it really is playing into that point now. Rex has been stepped up a game. Rex is now in charge. Ahsoka is that advisor, but we all know the real score here.
As far as I can see from I had a look around this, Captain Vaughn is absolutely new clone we've not seen before. He's brought in this new category. Oh, this is going to be interesting for us. Not that interesting for not that long, unfortunately. He plays a really nice role, and his story kind of is rounded out so quickly, which, no spoiler alert, he doesn't make it through this episode. But it's a really nice play, and it's really well done the way his quick arc of being the captain to just show that danger that some of these clones are in on this mission who've left the 501st who are now on the way to Coruscant. I thought it was a really nice play. I love this moment between her and Rex, when she sends Rex off to the docks to help there. So obviously splitting the 501st apart, so they're all going on a soak with her part of the mission. And really that's kind of where the episode kind of takes us, that it takes us on basically the trap that's been set. And we get that when they're sent to the follow Gar Saxon down these tunnels underneath Mandalore, underneath the city. And that's when it all comes out that this was exactly what Maul had intended all the time. Unfortunately, the wrong Jedi is there that he wanted to be.
And that's why I didn't clock on. It was, I mean, I knew it was a trap from when they're in the throne room. But on the second viewing, you can know about 5 minutes before when they all fly down, because he tells them just get underground. So on the second viewing, that really made it cool. I loved the throne room scene. I love that Mandalore throne room. It's become quite an iconic image, I feel. There seems to be some great throne room scenes in Star Wars. I'm sure we're going to get another one very soon in the next 2 weeks. But no, I'm the same. It was a nice trap. I was really confused because I don't know if I wasn't paying attention the first time, but I thought that was Captain Rex, and because it more the helmet design. And then I was like, oh, yeah, Rex live in Rebels. He's going to get up. And it took me ages to realize, that's actually not Captain Rex. I think I just had Captain and just
your brain just went to it. The interesting part I like is the fact that the 501st, of course, has been split up. There's 332nd now under the command of Commander Rex, with Ahsoka being that advisor. It's the 332nd that have the new paint scheme that have been sent with her down to the tunnels that don't make it. And I think it's that kind of symbolism of, this is what the Clone Wars was. This is what she left, and she's being brought straight back into it. She's gone from wanting to walk away from it all to being brought right back into the forefront. And those that she saw, those that she met, have then been, no, they're gone. And it's that impact of when she has Captain Vaughn's hand as well, and it's just that moment of, she realizes that she could never really escape at all. And then, of course, she's then surrounded. And it's just it's a very brief but impactful moment here, and it's hard. It's a heart wrencher.
Oh, I thought you meant more coming back.
That's next.
I didn't really feel anything when he died. I wasn't really bothered. I just knew it was here's the trap. Let's keep her by herself. It's just Star Wars, isn't it? Had it been someone that had been around for years, then you'd feel it. But when it's like, politely put,
just a clone.
It's all part of the plan. Yeah, it's just a clone. It's the whole thing they tried to defeat was where people, not clones. Like, well, you didn't kill a people, you killed a clone. Not that it actually had any impact, as in it didn't affect my viewing of it at all. I'm still viewing of the film. It basically is a film. But then we had the reveal we all want more back, and we all kind of expected it to. Him to say, wrong Jedi. Basically, he wanted Kenobi. Yeah. I don't think Kenobi would have been stupid enough to have gone back to Mandalore, because he's already kind of fell for the trap once before. Not even more, but I'm very, very curious that episode 1 has ended with the protagonist of the arc in the hands of the antagonist. Whether she jumps up the tunnel in episode 2, but it was a great cliffhanger, and I think it made it so much better with the choice of music. There was no music. It was
No.
just the lightsaber blade, and I just thought that was the perfect ending.
Absolutely. The continued hum over the first slit of credits was absolutely a lovely move. It was lovely to see Darth Maul, just Maul, walk out of that, hearing his metal legs clanging through the tunnel. And I just thought it was just a quick comment on there. Clones of people too, George.
Do you think
just,
like? Oh, sorry. I was going to talk more about.
No,
cloning.
go ahead.
So obviously, Rebels. You know, what Rebels did is that it kept a lot of people alive that we all assumed and probably would have perished in Clone Wars. I'm not saying that would have been Captain Rex, but I feel as if the Siege of Mandalore was probably not written a long time ago, but I think the story beats were there for it to end most character arcs in Clone Wars. Going back to that Captain dying, could anybody have seen that being Captain Rex from the very beginning?
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
Like what I was trying to make the point that it was meant to be really meaningful, but because it's someone new, you don't have any attachment. Obviously, with Rex, they deserve more than a pat on the shoulder. Let's move on to the next scene thing. But I feel as if there may be some things we think may happen. Obviously, we know they're not going to be in ultimate peril because they make it through and stuff. But I feel as if there'll be moments in which something may have originally been planned, which aren't going through because we know they're in existence still. There's no issue with that. But certainly for that moment, it stood out. And I can imagine maybe we'll get one or two more of them across the next few episodes.
Yeah.
There are going to be story beats that, you're going to absolutely think, that should have been this person's natural end, but because there is now further story for them, I just thought it was, I quite liked the moment with Captain Vaughn. It made sense to have that, like, she lost her whole platoon that she was down there with, and I thought it was a really, really good moment for her to just be back in that war again and feel that she walked, like Phil said, like she walked away from all that and wasn't expecting to be back in the midst, and there she is, can't escape it. And then to have Maul walk out and just say, "Why are you?" I was expecting Kenobi. "Why are you here?" It was just gave me chills seeing him and knowing not knowing what's coming. That's kind of the exciting thing. I know they're going to battle at some point, but it's now where there's 3 episodes to fill, and if we're going to go by this, I'm guessing we're going to get 20. I know it's 30 minutes, but with the credits, like 26 minutes, so it's still 4 minutes longer than you normally get per episode. What they're going to fill with these episodes, I have no idea, because if you thought probably in their old style of Clone Wars, they could probably wrap this up in 2 episodes. Next would be a sort of getting taken somewhere and then fighting Maul done. They're going to stretch it over 3 episodes, and I cannot wait for next Friday.
So originally we were sat here about 4 or 5 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago, sorry, going, we would like 6 episodes of the Siege of Mandalore. We sat here going, right, this is what we want from this final season. And I think a lot of people are guilty of that, of going, okay, give this to me. The Bad Batch is the Bad Batch. I'm not going to talk too much about that. We've had it before, we've had it again. New scenes, I like it, but it's not all things to all men when it comes to Clone Wars. It's a good arc, but it's not really up there with some of the best. The last arc, we went from not really caring about it to caring a lot, to the last 2 episodes that they had that were just a repeat of themselves by the end of it as well. It made, especially last week's episode, that made the weeks before just redundant in every sense of the word, which is why we had a little bit of a rant about it. It's because it just really nullified it. This is what we've been waiting for, but it's nice to see that we're sat here now with slightly different expectations to what we had when we came into it, but not in a bad way. We're sat here going, I don't mind how the next 4 weeks plays out. This will probably end up being what will feel like a movie, but the story beats so far are just on point. And we're sat here again. We're at 40 minutes almost. We don't do this for Clone Wars. Clone Wars, we can sit here, Rebels as well, we can sit here for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we can give you a good old chunk. This is so much to divulge. We are longer than the episode currently, and there's still a lot to talk about what happened within, and it's really is command to what they've done.
I was going to say,
sorry, Josh.
I've still got humongous expectations. Nothing's been ridden away because we had one great episode to make up for the previous 8. What I will say though is that because we didn't know that this episode was 30 minutes long, you got 4 30-minute long episodes. That's 2 hours, which is the equivalent of 6 episodes of 20 minutes. So if that's the case, that's absolutely fine with me, because we did say it's a lot to cram into 4 episodes at 20 minutes, but obviously they are all extended. That's going to help them out a lot more than it could have.
Did we just watch the best episode of Clone Wars for the entire show?
Not yet.
In my opinion, yeah.
So far.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff to come, but as it stands for me right now, that is the best episode of Clone Wars I have ever seen.
Mine is the one where Duchess Satine's killed. Also Mandalore involving Maul. That's the one episode I've got above this. This is number 2 for me. It's not a bad thing to be behind.
No, it's not.
No, it's not at all. It's one of my favourite arcs they've done. I mean, when this is all said and done, I'm going on a Clone Wars rewatch binge. I know that I was supposed to do it beforehand, but life got in the way. George, you have done it recently. Actually, that's a good question, George. So you have very, very recently rewatched all of the Clone Wars. You've also then...
Yeah.
Was it the first time you'd seen Season 6 of the Lost missions?
Yeah, first time I've seen them.
Okay, so with that, bearing that in mind, with this what we've had so far for Season 7, I'm going to go back and rewatch it, but do you feel this fits in? Do you feel this is a nice continuation from what we've had, so leading to a good end?
The season doesn't. This episode does. The first 2 arcs feel season 6 is a strange one. It's 3 stories. The first arc was incredible, which was obviously the Clone Order 66 stuff. Second one was more about Anakin's character, and it wasn't great, but it was enjoyable. Yoda's was just this madness learning of the Force, which is great. Proper Rebels, like, I guess. I think the first 2 arcs are on par for those last 3. Obviously, naturally, you need a gap at the end of season 5 to get you where you are now. But I mean, as a whole, Clone Wars just feels as no season feels too much. The whole thing just flows as one thing. They feel like seasons within seasons. Mandalore feels like its own story within Clone Wars, and then you got your politics ones, and then you got your bounty and so on. So I never really see Clone Wars as seasons as a whole. But in my honesty about sort of ending this great episode by moaning about the others, the previous 8 episodes just haven't been, honestly, are just not up to standard, because they are very much Clone Wars standard. They haven't had the consistency that the later seasons had, but I completely understand the decisions of putting them in, because obviously, 2012, I bet had the Order 66 arc been pre-rendered and not fully released, that would have been the start of season 7. It just came down to what was ready to be released in 2013 on Netflix, the Lost missions. Those were the ones that were fully complete, and that's what they picked, which I've got no issue with. And season 6 is not really a season; it's just three small arcs that are just like bonus stories to take you on a journey, I guess. But no, this season as a whole, I mean, I don't want to moan because I love this last episode, but I'm probably never going to revisit the first 2 arcs of the season again. I'm just probably going to be like, let's watch the Siege of Mandalore, or just one day have a complete Mandalorian-a-thon and just go from when Mandalore first showed up in Clone Wars, every Mandalore arc, then go all out and watch Mandalorian to go with it, and Rebels and all that stuff. So it's
That's a hell of a deal, that.
I was going to say, complete Mandalore.
Fair enough. I mean, it's an interesting point, because I'm going to back. It was just that interesting thing of it flowing all as one. I was interested to see if you thought this does flow, at least, although they're not the best 2 arcs, the first 2 arcs, at least if it does flow continuous to end on this particular high note.
The Mandalore stuff flows with the previous Mandalore stuff. I'll give it that. It feels like a natural progression of that storyline. But I've just never seen Clone Wars as a progression thing. It's always just small stories, which is great. It's like Pulp Fiction.
It's 3 years of incredible storytelling in terms of actual timeline-wise. It's 7 seasons worth of episodes, and it's a story that it started being told, at least for the public, when it was released in 2008. We've had 12 years. I was nearly about to quote Prisoner of Azkaban, actually, for a second there. So I did my waiting 12 years of it. No, this has been one of those episodes where all 3 of us have sat down the end and gone, this was incredible. Yes, we have more to come, but sometimes And it's one of the reasons why I love doing the show. When we have an opinion, it's not all the same. Some of us can watch episodes, go, I love it. Some of us go, I hate it. I mean, seeing AP5 is something that, to this day, I still don't really want to go back and rewatch, but at the time, they absolutely loved it. The Mortis Trilogy, as you know, is a bone of contention on this show. But this is one of those few episodes where we've all sat down and gone, this is one of the best things we've ever seen, and for a very good reason. And I don't know what else there is really to say on it.
Just Mortis quickly. I know I mentioned Mandalorian stuff, but if you sat down, you did the Mortis trilogy, you could probably do the Yoda arc from season 6. There's the kind of sub themes of Clone Wars where you can just pick a day and choose what type of Clone Wars you want to watch, and certainly stuff involves the Force very much compares to Rebels more so than the main films.
Yes.
Just a quick one, John Patton.
Yep.
Throwing up a quick comment on there. Clone Wars finale will be incredible. I have spoken. We are already in that finale as far as I'm concerned. This story arc is one. I can't split this apart and think, you know what, this is going to be four. And the fact they called it part 1 is great. I love the fact it was kind of put up there, not just episode title. We have the Proverbs thing they have up there as well. And I just thought it was so well done. Part 1. Here we go. This is your finale.
Yeah.
Strap in and just get ready for your mind to be blown, and mine absolutely is. And I can't wait to watch it again for the 7th time and 8th time and 20th time. Bring it on.
As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go back and rewatch it. I have other things I need to do, but I will be going back and rewatching this because this is taken over priority. As I said, this is one of the first times in a little while we've all sat down and gone, yes, this is incredible, and for very good reason. And we're going to end it on that particular note. This has been a longer show than usual, but I don't think we're going to suffer for that. Next week, I can safely assume for the next 4 weeks or 3 weeks, we are going to be heavily invested in this. Please join us for the journey as we talk about this finale. So until next time, all there is to say is thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Once the Force Stars Podcast, at The Force Podcast. You can find the video for this later on our YouTube and Facebook pages. And of course, the audio version will be available on our Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes. So until next time, we've been Ones the Force.